Good afternoon, students. Let us study about the political history of the Chola administrations. So, Chola ruler Vijay Alyar established Chola rules in Tamil land with Tanjore as his capitals. After his death, his son became the king who conquered Madurai and defeated the Pandyas and the ruler of Lanka. And by the 11th century AD, the Chola power had reached to a height of glory. Raja Raja I and his son Rajendra Chola were the two prominent rulers of that dynasty. Raja Raja I, who ruled from AD 1985 to 1014, was a brilliant general and campaigned in many directions, attacked the kingdom of the Pandyas and annexed part of Dakkans and Overens Vengi. He did this in order to prove the strength of the Cholas' power and took some territory of Mysore and Korg. The coast of Kerala, that is Ceylon's and Maldives Island, had become rich through the money that came to them from overseas trades, and India sent textiles, spices, and precious stones to the Western Asian country. The people who came in contact with from Western Asia to trade in this good were the Arabian merchants who extended money for goods. Foreigners also brought wealth to India through their trades. Raja Raja I was very much aware of the importance of controlling the sea. That is why he decided to show his strength along the coast of South India and took out naval expeditions and attacked both Sri Lanka and Maldives Island. The conquest of Sri Lanka was completed with crowns and royal insignia of the king and the queen of Sri Lanka had been captured in a battle. Sri Lankans were not able to free themselves from the Chola control for another 50 years. So Raja Raja I built the Rajeshwara temples of Lord Shiva at Tanjore, and on the wall of the temples he inscribed the work of Raja Raja I, and under his rule the Chola Empire became very powerful in southern India. Rajendra Chola, who ruled from AD 10 to 14 to 10 to 44 years, succeeded his father Raja Raja I, continued his father's policy, campaigns with darings. He marched his army to the east coast of India, through Odisha, and went up to the Gangetic River and Rajendra Chola himself led the army up to the Godavari, and his general took charge of the army. The Chola were defeated. Army was defeated Mahepal, king of Bengal, and to commemorate his victory, he adopted the title of Gangaikonda and built the new capital Gangaikonda Cholapuram. So the new capital of the Chola were Gangaikonda Cholapuram. His most daring campaigns was in Southeast Asia. For 10th century, Indian merchants has been trading with various parts of South Asia and southern China through the Straits of Malacca, which was held by the kingdom of Sri Vijaya, modern day of Indonesia. The merchant Sri Vijaya began creating problems for the Indian merchant, and the Indian merchant approached to Rajendra Chola for help. He sent a huge army and defeated the army of Sri Vijaya, and as a result, Indian trade with Southeast Asia and southern China continued. He helped in enriching the kingdom of the Cholas, built magnificent palaces and beautiful temples at his new capitals Gangaikonda, Cholapuram. The Chola administration was divided into central government, provincial government and local self-government. In the central government, the king was the most important person in the Chola administration. His authority was visible to everyone. He had a council of ministers who could advise him, and the king went on tours in order to keep a check on the administrations. The central administration looked after external defense, internal peace, order, promotion of general prosperity and cultural progress. Whereas in the provincial empire divided in mandalams, provinces, and where these were further divided in Valanadu and Naidu, princes of the royal family were appointed governors of the provinces. Local self-government was there, and the Cholas were good administrators, believe in local self-government. The villages administration was carried out not by the government officials, by the villagers themselves. Village has three types of village assembly, namely the Ur, the Sabha and the Nagarams. There are long inscriptions in the wall of some of the village temples giving details of how the Ur and the Sabha was organized. Now what is a Ur? Ur was the common type of assembly of the village where the land was held by the classes of people who were member of the local assembly. The Sabha was exclusively a Brahmin assembly of the village where all the land belonged to the Brahmins. The Nagarams was an assembly of merchants belonged into locality where traders and merchants were in dominant positions. Villagers who owned land were chosen by vote to the council, and it was they were land and the work of the village were discussed in this council. There were collections of tax was there, settlements of disputes was there, allocations of water were looked after by the community. The temples of the Cholas, as I have already explained in a previous part, carried on social activities also. Some temples own huge land and participate in inlands and overseas trades. The land donated to the temples were known as the Devadaya or Devadana. In some cases, instead of giving land to temples, land revenue of certain villages was assigned to the temple, and the concerned villagers were instructed to pay land revenue. The temples were not only a source of teachings to the people, but it is a source of giving employees to the people also. The temples used to take care of the worker by providing food, clothing, housing facility, arranging proper educations and establishing hospitals. The temples were also a center for education, and the priests of the temple were the local teachers, as there was no separate schools. In the temples, the main language was Sanskrit and Tamil. The religious teaching was in Sanskrit, since texts such as Vedas has to be studied. The student learned Tamil, the language which was widely spoken in the Cholas kingdom. Now let's talk about the revenue system. The revenue system came from tax on land and the produce of the land and tax on trade. Part of the revenue was kept for the king and the rest was used for public work, as such as building of roads, tanks, salaries of officials, and on paying for the upkeeping of the army and so on. Now the Cholas' arts. The Chola ruler were great conquerors and efficient administrators. They loved art and architectures, built many temples, as I have told, canals, roads, cities, palaces, and temples were built in the Dravidian styles. Each Chola temple was simple structured, and temples become bigger and more granted in the latter part of their work, or latter part of their dynasty. The art of making stone and metals has made rapid progress under the Cholas, and the Chola excellent in making images of god and goddess, and the bronze image of Lord Shiva's Nataraj, Lord of Dance, is an excellent work of the Cholas. The images of Nataraj has been described as cultural epitomes of the Chola period. So this is about the Chola art, architecture, revenue systems, about the administrations that was prevalent at the time, provincial, local, central. So they work in every field of the administration, from the army to the village to the temples, where the gurus used to provide educations to the students, and at the same time provide employments to the people also. This is about the Cholas administration.